Today I'm going to walk you through a possible scenario of presentation for our Digital Writers Workshop, incorporating the new literacies with fan fiction and web comics. This is a PowerPoint that we've put together that would be used for that professional development presentation. We start, of course, with the plan for the day to present our objectives to the audience. Learn what fan fiction and webcomics are, explore websites, acknowledge and discuss challenges, using class web pages, explore our real-world teaching, going to give it a try with our own exercise through a lesson. We will end with a review, reviewing the research and the literature. First, we will review Writer's Workshop in the foundations. We are going to have two assumptions for our audience. Number one, that they are familiar with the foundations of student choice, revision, craft, publication, and a broader vision of assessment. And the second assumption that we will make is that there is access to the internet for the majority of their students within the class day or indeed outside of school. We would go through a definition of what digital literacy means, refining that from just the idea of it being literate in the English language through technology and things we find online to what those new digital literacies mean. And we would use some information given from the Carter article cited at the end. You can read through those. We take two definitions from Wikipedia, and we take them from Wikipedia to help emphasize the fact that fan fiction and webcomics are indeed a global phenomenon and a pervasive phenomenon, especially for students that are digital natives. It's not so funneled and narrow as some of us older teachers might think. One of my favorite parts of this definition here is towards the end in this quote for that the writers write it and put it up online not just for the satisfaction. They don't do it for money. They're fans and they write because they want to be writing. We take webcomics also from Wikipedia. On these next few slides, we take fan fiction and webcomics and integrate them with the ideas of Writer's Workshop. Hopefully there would be a lot of conversation with clarifying questions and answers regarding how fan fiction motivates students to write, how they might verify their sources of the websites instead of with print, utilizing the different technologies and how that could be a positive and a negative, exploring the other areas of digital literacy like RSS and how we could connect that with our fan fiction and webcomics. And finally, looking at literary analysis review elements, serial and co-written works as they would apply to fan fiction. Our next set of slides takes our audience through setting up a Digital Writers Workshop platform. Here we have our link to our Weebly website that we have set up called Fan Fiction and Webcomics that provides a justification and description of many of the things that the PowerPoint presents. Hopefully during the presentation at this time we would have internet access enough to go over to that website and take a look at it. The embedded videos in the demonstration portion talk about setting up a class website using Weebly, a course blog using Ning, and explores a fan fiction website and webcomics website. There also is an example of a non-writer's workshop writing site. Here we begin to connect fan fiction to the curriculum. So we have here on the left the traditional writing process and how we think of those different steps and the recursiveness of going back from beginning to publishing. And the fan fiction connection, how each of those can be and is addressed in the realm of fan fiction writing. Since fan fiction is more text and writing than comics is visual digital literacy, we focused on fan fiction with the aside being webcomics, but that does not have to be the case. Here we provide a direct link in the PowerPoint to the virtual world and these websites, fanfiction, SlideShare, and Pixton.com, which is the webcomics website. Each of the attendees to the presentation would get a copy of this PowerPoint, so they would then have these links directly, easily accessible. We linked a lot of our presentation, of course, to articles and research, but also to the two books that we used in this class, the two textbooks. We found them very clear, concise, strongly linked to curriculum and pedagogy, so that they were definitely useful pieces to be a part of the research body and reference body that we provide for our attendees to our professional development module. At the end of our PowerPoint, we have included the research and pedagogical articles summarized so that the attendees will have a permanent record as well of some of those fabulous things we have found. Our next few slides talk about good writer's workshop with digital literacies and what elements they must include. Not exclusive, but they must have these. And then what is more of a traditional writer's workshop, just done with technology. In other words, not really a digital writer's workshop. We have linked them to this website called biguniverse.com. Demonstration video is found on the Weebly, but it is a website where we can write books and publish them, but that's all. Would emphasize at this point that the missing links to expanded digital and virtual world. Examples of use have setting up the writer's workshop, a safe place, and then we have a couple of assignments. Here, on these next few slides, we talk about doing the prep work, setting up the website, attaching everybody's email addresses so that the class is part of the professional development module is what ours is called, but yours would be called, 8th grade writer's workshop or whatever your name is. So since we've already added your emails, we will be able to continue on with our exercise today. In this PowerPoint, I included this screenshot of the Ning because of it including videos. And besides blogs and photos and those things, these videos are an important feature of Ning for sharing, commenting, and writing about. In publishing with Weebly, we have put again the link, the direct link to the web, and then what the front page looks like. This way we could have some discussion about the different elements that your tabs could be, but wouldn't have to be, in your course web page. Next, we would talk about a few of the, I would say, not necessarily negatives, but questioning issues that come up when we talk about fan fiction, and copyright issue is one of the largest. It's been questioned regarding copyright usage. In other words, if I write a continuing story on Harry Potter, aren't I infringing on J.K. Rowling's copyright? Not really, because I don't present it as my own. In many of, almost all, somewhere, you will find this is disclaimer to not owning any bit of the copyrights, and that they're all given credit where credit is due. The point in fan fiction is not to present as your own, but to acknowledge that, hey, we all really like this game. Let's write some backstory together. The next set in our presentation would be putting this to use. We framed it in how to connect what we already do in class. I picked a usual routine that we do with word study. And in this word study, we take word bases and working with their affixes, prefixes, and suffixes. As number 2 says, we explore parts of speech variants, concordant sentence exploring, meaning-changing affixes, how N-O-N or U-N will change the meaning of the base. From there, we would engage in number 3 and write a story using as many forms of the base as you can. With digital literacies, however, we would add 4 through 7. Write the story as it is connected to a movie, book, or game. Publish the piece on the class website. Provide peer feedback to 5 of my fellow students. And then revise my story at least once, responding to peer feedback. So what this would look like is each word base here in the middle, A-N-I-M, means breath or spirit. These are provided by Melvin Ramsden, Real Spelling, and Spelling Toolbox 2. That reference is given at the end of this PowerPoint. How this works is very easily described in the base. We add affixes to it. The ones on the left are prefixes. The ones on the right are affixes. Prefixes tend to change meaning, while affixes tend to change part of speech. The only rule for using this very strong tool is that you can't skip boxes. So in other words, I cannot start on A-N-I-M and go straight to I-N-G. So A-N-I-M, I-N-G is not an English word. However, A-N-I-M-A-T, no E, I-N-G, because of the double vowels. But those 2 affixes on the base make animating into a continuous verb of giving breath or spirit. So here is a story on the A-N-I-M base written by Kais Khoury. He used it with permission. Actually, he was quite excited, and it is connected to a game. I hope that you will take time to go and to pause this and maybe even read his story. You can see, and as a group we would during the professional development module, and look at, I highlighted in red all of his uses of the A-N-I-M base. It was quite well done. So then, to add the digital dimension to this, maybe we could draw a cartoon and publish it that illustrates part of the story. Publish the piece on the class website. And here would be where the feedback and revision and recursive writing could take place. Review the posting on the Ning and publishing on Weebly. Next would be the professional development attendees to try out being the students. So we would have them, through FanfictionNet, find a story published that works for you. Use a book you used in classroom this year, or a favorite video game or play that you particularly love, or maybe that one book from your childhood that broke your heart and you really wanted to have a different ending. Review the story on the site on fanfiction.net. Embed the discourse and write a 3 or 4 sentence comments for another story. Draw a cartoon with Pixton.com that illustrates a theme or detail of your work. Depending on the format of the professional development, there might be time to engage in this actually in the professional development session, or indeed it might have to be homework. Follow up to this PD session will be at the beginning of next month's professional development meeting.